Welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt Eason here with Louis D'Souza and Amy Blackford. This is your Daily Dose of Happy. We are so happy you decided to join us today, and we're back to being three again after a couple of weeks missing Amy. We missed you. We missed you. I don't know if you knew that.
Yes, I'm sorry that I wasn't here last week, but something came up with my my publishing course that I'm taking. So
Which is exciting.
Yeah, it's a very exciting time in my life. It's the juggling act.
There's a lot of that going on these days, and that's probably a good thing, because if you're juggling the stuff that you like, that means you're going to get a good result. Now, it depends what you're juggling, I suppose, right? I mean, some people may
it's
not
all
be juggling
good
what they
things
don't like,
for sure.
Yeah.
It's all very good things. And, like I said, our family business is taken off to the point.
Nice.
We are having quite the time managing it, but it's a good problem to have.
That's a great problem. That's a problem a lot of people would like to have right now. So
yeah, absolutely.
Really, really good. And Louis, you had asked audience members who were going to send in questions last week. You asked that they asked about specific modalities and so forth. We actually got a question along that line, so I knew you'd be very pleased about that. This came, I don't know what the person's name is. They were on YouTube, and their name on YouTube is JetSetter11, which sounds like a pretty cool name. But it's a very simple, straightforward question. Is there a Jin Shin Jyutsu hold to stop teeth grinding while sleeping?
Ooh. That's a good one. I was grinding my teeth for many, many, many years. And I know many people that do grind their teeth. And I suppose if I had to answer it from a Jin Shin Jyutsu point of view, is just hold your thumb.
Just with one thumb with the other hand.
The thumb is about worry. And of course, I would say my teeth grinding went away the time I started Abraham Hicks. And I would put it down to focusing more on what you don't want in your mind rather than what you do want. And of course, holding the thumb is for your worry. So it's a very, very good finger to hold. I sometimes double up with both fingers like that.
Okay.
Both thumbs.
So you're getting twice the removal of worry that way. Is that the idea?
Well, yeah, the left-hand side and right-hand side are mostly mirrored in the body when you come to Jin Shin Jyutsu. So one works on the left side. One is generation and one's regeneration. So kind of like one's looking forward and one's looking backwards, if you want to look at it that way. One's looking at the past and one's looking at where you want to go. The fears or the worries in your mind can come from both sides. So yeah, either one, either thumb or both thumbs would be a good Jin Shin hold for that. But I would strongly recommend getting a firm grip on Abraham Hicks's teachings and understanding the basics of their slightly enhanced modality of the law of attraction.
Well, since this is a YouTube listener, may or may not be a regular listener, not really sure. We don't have a particular name associated with it. Why don't we treat it as a situation where maybe they aren't really all that familiar with Abraham Hicks? Let's give them like a little 5-minute primer on it.
Yeah, go for it, Amy.
You want me to go for it? What? Wait. What am I doing again?
We're welcoming you back to the show. That's what we're doing.
It was only one show, guys. Come on. So please, again,
Abraham Hicks, the basics.
The basics of Abraham Hicks is following the emotional guidance system. And I think, to me, that's the easiest way to break it down for people. If it's feeling good, you are thinking about and manifesting what it is that you want. And if you are not feeling good, then you are thinking about and manifesting what you don't want. I think it's the most simplistic way to break it down. Everyone is not normally aware of the thoughts that they're having because you're having so many on autopilot. It's just kind of running in a loop. I think they say it's like the same, is it 6,000 or 60,000 thoughts per day? And it's the same thoughts. That's the other thing. Yeah. And so becoming aware of those can almost drive you crazy. I know when I first learned about the law of attraction, it was like, wow, monitoring also, this is a lot.
Yeah.
But monitoring the way that I feel is absolutely so easy to do. I instantly recognize when I'm not feeling good. And I know that that now is directly linked to something that I'm thinking.
That summarizes it beautifully. Absolutely. And
yeah, so I think
guys,
that is the easiest way to break it down. And she, of course, has so many videos explained. It's always explained the same way, but it feels like over the years, Abraham has found a variety, calling it the grid, and all of these different ways of kind of exploring the same topic. And the reason that I like that, it's why I like to also listen to a lot of different teachers, is sometimes we get used to the repetition of hearing something, and it's almost like we tune it out at a certain point.
Absolutely. Yep.
So for me, the reason I will continue to listen to Abraham Hicks is it's the same information, but it continues to evolve and be presented in new and exciting ways that make me understand it just a little bit better each time.
Yeah, that's true. You also said something very interesting that kind of cued something in my mind. You said that, and this is true for all of us, it's really hard to keep track of tens of thousands of thoughts every single day. And in fact, most of us don't try to do that. That drove me crazy early on until I realized from what Abraham taught us, oh yeah, we don't have to do all that. Just monitor your emotion and you're good. Oh, okay, I can handle that one. But there's something interesting that's happened over the years as I have engaged in what we'll call the Abraham technique. And that is, as I pay more attention to my emotions and as I just get myself into a better feeling place, I'm finding that I'm much more aware of my thoughts. Like, not that I have to go look for them. It's just that I'm just very, very aware, much more so than I was, say, 5 or 10 years ago. And I was wondering if you guys experienced the same thing.
100% for me, yes.
Yeah, okay.
And of course, when you have been using the emotions trigger the thought that created them. So you get this negative feeling of emotion. You say, "Oh, I know I've been thinking something that is what I don't want." So, and it becomes very easy to quantify it and to see what it is after you've gone through that process. So yes, even though you did initially use the emotions as the trigger to turn around and go the other way, you didn't even have to look at the thought, but you become a lot more aware as you go along about what those thoughts are that you're thinking, and it becomes easier to track. And of course, once you become clear about what that negative thought is, you just say, oh, every subject's to subject. That is the not wanted. What is wanted that comes out of that specific subject, and then you can run with that. And that I found is, when you're really starting to fly,
I love that explanation. And also I want to add here, and I know it's something that we touch on a lot, is allowing yourself to have negative thoughts and emotions. You don't have to change them. You don't have to always have positive thoughts and positive emotions. As a matter of fact, I kind of think you're gypping yourself a little bit, because when we have those contrasting negative emotions, it will spring you forward when you find a new perspective, and you have to dig a little bit deeper. So when you're feeling good about something, it's going to keep you kind of at a certain level of feeling good. But when you do have a dip in your emotions, or something happens and you have a reaction to it, and we're labeling it negative right now, it does, it gives you the opportunity to dig deeper, to find a new perspective, something that maybe you weren't aware of before, that can then propel you even further forward than you were before having that thought or that negative emotion. And that is something that I like to keep reiterating, because it's my newest, I think, exploration into the law of attraction. When I first started practicing this, I was trying to do it right with that type A personality. I'm going to do it right on my little checklist, and I'm always going to feel good. And it just doesn't work that way. And actually, I think the more you try and make it work that way, the less it actually works. So I always like to add that in.
You know what I find funny, Amy, is that I've in my life, I've surrounded myself by numerous perfectionists. Type A personality, you call them. And I'm completely the opposite. So I'm kind of like very laid back, and things can be lying around, and I don't worry about it in the slightest. And I keep on wondering, if you're often looking for somebody who's the opposite to help balance you, because I've got regular calls with people who are OCDs, and have loads of long, very productive chats with them.
That's
And
wonderful. And I think you're
it's
right.
just
You do. My
interesting
husband is the
that you're
exact
also one.
opposite. Like I'm with, especially with the house being tidy and things. All right, we got the music going.
No, we're not finished yet.
Every once in a while,
guys.
every once in a while, I adjust my headset, my earbuds, and they have a little button on them. I hit the button, that starts the music. Like, oh, I hit the button again. Oh dear.
But I mean, I'll let you guys laugh at me and give you a little peek into the world of Amy. The stuff on the coffee table. If things are out of alignment, I go through. I like everything to be tidy and neat. And my husband will literally sit there and laugh at me as I'm doing it, because he's the exact opposite. Mm-hmm. And instead of fighting each other on it, instead of me being like, oh, why aren't you tidier? And he is like, hey, Amy, would you just give it up already? We've come to kind of, have this kind of back and forth where we kind of joke around about it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think in my life if I know any couple that are both OCD, and I don't think I do.
I think they'd kill each other.
Or scrub each other to death.
I wouldn't have thought so. If everything's in line, everything's in alignment.
It'd be a question of the artist. There's something in the artist's brain in me. I mean, it's very strange the way my countertops in my kitchen. I really like things to be aligned. It's just something I notice, and it just takes 2 seconds for me to do it, and it makes me feel good.
Are you like my ex-co-host, Wendy Dillard, who was on about 2 years ago for a year, who is also fairly OCD, and in the kitchen, when she's cooking, and in the middle of cooking, as she's cooking a dish, she'll clean the pan before she goes on to the next dish. Do you do the same thing?
That's exactly, I do the same exact thing. Wendy, if you're listening, I feel you.
I mean, that I don't know how you do that, actually, if you're trying to time all the foods to come out at the same time. That's quite an art.
Yeah. My brain is constantly plugging things in. And I know it sounds like it's not relaxing, but for me, it just feels like I'm in the flow when I'm doing it. So whatever works, right?
Oh, hey, that just goes to prove we all have different perspectives, and we also have different preferences. OCD is expression of preferences. We can call it an illness if we want to, but I don't think of it as an illness. I think it is just
not at all. I only think something is an illness. To me, my perspective on that is if you are trying to force it on others, and it is very disruptive to your overall, like the harmonics in your life. If it's really causing a big disruption, then I think to either others or even yourself, I don't need to like lock my door 3 times or something like that before I can leave. Because to me, that would really get in the way of me enjoying my life if it causes a lot of anxiety.
Yeah, I think Abraham has the very appropriate method there. If locking the door 3 times is going to feel good to you, go ahead.
Exactly.
If it's not feeling good, you might want to try that as a slightly different method.
Absolutely.
just saying, and it becomes a very straightforward thing. That's the beauty of the Abraham method. It literally is the easiest thing to check into throughout the day. I don't know about you guys. Yeah, what you're feeling. I don't know about you guys. When I was first trying to learn all this stuff, I don't think I really realized until like 3 or 4 years into even doing this podcast that you're supposed to do this stuff regularly throughout your day, not just start off with some affirmations and you're done, that kind of a thing. So that's probably the first step. The second step is realizing how easy it is using the Abraham method to monitor what goes on in the day compared to all the other methods I've ever heard of.
And also you can notice how your day begins. I know the minute I open my eyes, if just that negative thought comes into my mind, maybe I didn't sleep well the last few nights. I've had a really hard time sleeping. And the minute I open my eyes to get out of bed, if I allow that first thought of, I got the day and all of this stuff that I'm starting to think about having to do. If I let that begin my day, I have to reel it back in really quick, because then the entire day will kind of flow from that state of dis-ease. Whereas if I wake up and even if I didn't get a good night's sleep, I think to myself, well, isn't it awesome? I work from home. Big deal. You can take a nap, Amy. I mean, how rough do you really actually have it? You work in your pajamas. It's this, even though I didn't sleep in both of these scenarios, it's the way that I'm choosing to look at it. I wish I honestly can say why some days it's so much easier for me to choose and select what I would call the more positive outlook. But some days it is more of a struggle. It's okay.
I don't know about you. What I've discovered for myself is that the way I wake up has an awful lot to do. Of course, this is right out of Abraham's textbook. Has an awful lot to do with how I was feeling when I went to sleep. If I went to sleep not feeling all that great, guaranteed in the morning I'm not going to be doing all that good. But if I went to sleep,
good old counseling advice is, always solve a problem with your partner before you go to sleep. It's pretty sound advice, actually.
It is.
That is an excellent point. I make it a point, because it does take me usually at least 10 minutes to fall asleep and that's on a good night. So I do make it a point to try to make that time as I'm drifting into sleep a time to either just go over the positive things that happened that day, or the things that I'm looking forward to, or honestly just being at peace, and just being at peace with the day. And you're right, it does set the tone for the next day when you wake up, for sure.
I mean, for myself, when I'm going to sleep, the way it often goes is, okay, let's see, what were my 3 good things that happened today? Well, I had a great show. I always have a great show. And snore, and that's about it.
There's something interesting that I think maybe Amy as well has discovered is, if you remain as conscious as you can at the moment of going to sleep, amazing things happen in your lives, because that's when you start learning out-of-body experiences and conscious dreaming, etc. So it's my advice that people do what they can, and I'll just go through what I do often to maintain that state for myself. Is I lie on my back, because I find it more difficult to sleep on my back. I
me
lie
too.
on my back.
It's almost impossible for me.
Yeah. And I visualize, I make sure I'm tired as well. So I've done some exercise, or I've been outside and done something. So I'm tired. I'm lying on my back, and I visualize my toes going to sleep, my feet going to sleep, my ankles going to sleep, my calves going to sleep, my knees going to sleep.
I'm asleep by now. If I go into these classes, I'm already asleep.
Then you're missing that point I'm talking about. It's staying awake.
Well, that's my problem. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
It's all about awareness. And so, once I'm really relaxed, really relaxed, but I'm on my back, which is more difficult to sleep, I kind of catch myself in that space.
I've been having so many out-of-body experiences again suddenly. It's almost every single night when I lay down.
Nice.
It's been, it feels like ever since we started talking about it, I told you guys, I think it was on the last show.
Yeah.
I wasn't having them at all. And then just by me speaking about them, and I'm not trying to consciously do it, it's just, I can feel myself coming out of body, and I mentally now I'm excited about this again, right? Because it is a lot of fun.
Because if it was the other way around, this would be really bad. Like you went, oh God, here I go, another out-of-body experience. This would not be a good dream experience.
Amy, you're welcome to come visit us in London.
I would love to. I really do go to these very surreal alternate
in a coronavirus-friendly environment.
The last one I went to really reminded me, if you've ever seen the movie Avatar.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, so, but they were human. They were humans. It was like that, but they were just, it was like tribal Earth, what it would be like if there had been no industrial revolution. It was like this most pristine Earth, and I did not want to leave the experience. When I woke up out of it, I was actually sad to be back here. Like, oh man, can I just stay over there? And it was just, but
if you
it's
spend
so,
time focusing on that imagery
yeah, the
in the waking
color,
state,
the
and then you'll
color,
start
and
drawing it
just,
to us.
yeah, the connection of the people that I was interacting with. It was a telepathic, energetic connection. It's just something I'll write about in one of my sci-fi novels, because it was so real. I really do try to touch on a lot of this kind of stuff in the material that I write for young adults.
Sounds like good material for any adult, not just young adult.
Well, absolutely. My books, I say they're like 15 up, like all the way, you know. I've had beta readers that are in their 60s and 70s that have really enjoyed the stories. So yes, that is my intention. But my real target, I know I've told you all this, for teenagers, is to try to get some of this. It's really about their own self-empowerment and power, especially at this time where I think so many people are feeling disempowered and hopeless when they don't need to. And this is to me, it's been my passion, my purpose, my contribution beyond obviously my own exploration for my own evolution. It's what I love. I'm just so jazzed about it. I love encouraging others, whether they want to do it creatively, meaning like, you know, as a career, or just creating. It's a way of tapping in. It's a way of tapping in to meditation, to whether you want to call it God, higher self, whatever. The label really doesn't matter.
It's true. And the fact is that when you enjoy it as much as you're enjoying it, and that's the point I was trying to make with a kind of a humorous approach before. When you enjoy it that much, you know, you're going to get so much out of it.
Absolutely.
Regardless of what the experience is. It doesn't matter what the experience is. The point
like
is
you with
that
the
you're enjoying
podcast. And Louie, I think your wife, doesn't she make like jams and all sorts of recipes?
Yeah, all that kind of stuff.
You know, and my sister loves to cook. So gardening, there's my mother-in-law loves to garden, and she works with glass. My father-in-law, he's a knife smith. He took that up in his 80s. He's amazing. Wow. He makes these beautiful knives. And it's just the creative process of it takes you outside of just the everyday, you know, you're cooking, you're cleaning, you're doing whatever. It really does, I think, tap you in. There's something about it's clearing your mind, and there's that kind of silent, creative space that you go into. Yeah.
It's a meditative state. So
yes.
In other words, you're doing something you love so much, and if you're able to, you just chill into it. You just sink into it or surrender into it, and then the creativity flows and it just pours through.
Oh, I love it. When I'm writing and when I'm drawing and I'm not critiquing it as I'm drawing, it's absolute bliss. A time stands still. Hours can go by. I don't even realize it. And it really is. I would encourage everyone to find that creative spark, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. And to really utilize that and try and weave that into their daily routine in some way. Because I think it really uplifts people as well. Because we have meditation and all these things that we talk about, but you want to do something, whether it's like exercise, riding a bike, there's so many ways of expressing and really just getting that. I think it's like recharging, I don't know, comparing it to recharging a cell phone. You're plugging in and you're charging yourself back up.
I mean, when you're tapping into source, my experience of it has been so incredibly powerful. And that's the understatement of the year. I mean, that level of power, which is sitting there waiting all the time, saying, rise up to me, come to my level, come to my level, come to my level all the time. It's quite astounding how powerful it actually is. That's the first thing I wanted to put across. The second thing is, you know, tapping into it even for a second or two, as Abram says, is incredibly beneficial for mankind.
Absolutely.
Even if you can do 1 or 2 seconds a day where you still the mind enough to touch source and just get that relief and release, and you know, start the allowing process to filter through.
Well, and then you emanate it outward, and it affects everything.
The emanating outward, it's quite important to understand one aspect to it. It mustn't be directed.
Right.
So when you start tapping into it to a large degree, and you start directing it. So I want Amy to have this force, or I want Walt to have this force, then I can disrupt your life quite substantially.
Right.
So just letting it be,
Just
let it
letting it
flow
be.
through you and not focusing it in any one direction is an important understanding of channeling without direction. Source energy. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's interesting. I think it's the first time I can recall recently anyway that you've brought an ethic to the whole concept of what tapping into source energy, I guess.
Well, you can quite happily focus it, but be ready to reap the reward.
Okay.
I'm not going to stop you. Nobody must stop themselves from experimenting with it. Do it and then just see if what I'm talking about is true or for you or not.
Yeah, now that's a really good idea. I like that, because that's basically encouraging people to be aware of not only what their thought pattern is, but what happens as a result of the thought pattern. Because when you make that association, now you're empowered. You talked about empowerment, Amy. There's empowerment right there. Making that connection, realizing what kind of impact you're having.
There's a lot of aligned people out there that are very influential. And it's becoming very clear and very known who these people are these days. And they are really being respected and looked up to and followed almost to the letter, to a guru-student like relationship. So when you speak to these guys, you realize that they're not particularly interested in you. They're not overly concerned about you and your problems and all the rest of it. They just focus on where they're going, focus you on where you could be, and that's it. And they leave you alone. And you get a lot of that going on. You see them with a lot of the self-development guys. A lot of people I know who are like that, and I just enjoy wandering around them and walking and talking to them, because they really are interesting people.
Absolutely.
Powerful individuals. And the interesting thing is there's so many more around now, loads more.
Well, I think there's a momentum that is building, and this
They're
kind
more
of
visible is the way I like seeing it at the moment. Maybe it's just me, but they seem to be very visible.
I would agree with that. When I look at the guru student dynamic, I hesitate to say, I don't want to say anything negative about it. It becomes problematic to me when I see people following certain teachers to the point of they're not actually practicing it for themselves. They're more listening and gaining that knowledge through listening to someone else, but not actually applying it. So that's the only time to me where it can become very problematic.
A guru, if he is worth his salt, will immediately kick the crutches out from underneath you.
Yeah.
That's true.
Right.
Otherwise, he's not a guru. He's just somebody who likes having his ego inflated.
Yeah.
And you, in your level of awareness, Amy, you can see the charlatan a mile away.
Yes.
It's really easy. And if other people can't, it's really, they need to learn that lesson. But let's say I wanted to learn from you, because I want you to understand the importance of having a guide, guru, mentor, whatever you will label you want to throw at them. If I really saw you as my mentor, Amy, would you be able to teach me easier or not?
I don't think so. No? I don't think if you saw me as your mentor, I think you would have a harder time learning from me.
Okay. Now you're talking about true learning. In other words, you'd be tough on me.
Yes.
So in other words, I would actually get real results, as opposed to a charlatan who'd give me all the crutches and carry me around. So in other words, you would actually be a very, very good teacher.
Right.
And you would be very effective. But if I didn't see you as a good teacher, you would not have much effect on me at all. I would just take what you said with a pinch of salt and would have no effect on me. Yeah.
Yes.
So what you must understand is, once you surrender to an individual, you have have tested to your satisfaction that they are not going to give you crutches. They're going to help you get up and run, and they're probably going to be a bit tough on you. Once you give them your permission, they're able to really go for it. I
Yeah.
promise you that is a beautiful, beautiful spiritual relationship. Not to
It's
be
funny.
mixed up with charlatans, gurus, etc., etc.
I mean, I hear what you guys are saying, and what you're saying makes a lot of sense to me. But I'm also applying it to myself and how I know that I learn. And I'm realizing I will often say that I kind of follow Abraham. I kind of have followed to the degree Neville Goddard. I've followed others like that. But I think I use that word more than anything else because other people use the word. As I think about it, I really don't follow anybody.
Right.
I learn from people.
Yes.
I selectively learn from people. I learned a lot of things from a lot of different people, but I don't really follow anybody. And the way you're describing it, I'm realizing it's probably accurate for a lot of people. But I mean, I've never really seen the value in just latching onto somebody like that and just seeing what you can get out of them. What wonderful vistas of imaginary and real stuff you can gain from them. I just don't get that. That just doesn't fit my mental outlook. So I'm intrigued by what you're saying. It's kind of outside my experience, if you know what I mean.
I had one experience. This is just for a little bit of a laugh. This was a long time ago. A friend of mine convinced my husband and I to go to a Tony Robbins rally.
Oh, okay.
So walked across the hot coals and everything.
Yeah.
And okay, so here's the thing, is that basically we got locked into this stadium with thousands of other people to be told that we were being, basically we weren't getting breaks to go to the bathroom. We weren't allowed to we were getting up really early and being made to stay very late at night. All of this was being done on purpose to break down our barriers. That right there did not work for me. I didn't like being told that I was purposefully being manipulated, is what it sounded like to me. And then there were times, because my little sister was with me, that basically we left the stadium because it got this very strange vibe. It was an energy that I was not enjoying. And I just wanted to go out, it's a big stadium, so they have bathrooms and everything outside. And they had bodyguards that basically were following us and made us go back into the stadium. It was a really strange experience. And I did go across those hot coals. And what's interesting, I didn't burn my feet, but it was done out of, I want to say, my anger at the entire situation. It's what got me across those coals without getting burned. I was like, I'm doing this because I'm basically almost being forced into it. But, nobody can force me to do anything that I'm not going to. I was like, I know I can do this and I'm a strong-willed person. But see, that was one of those situations where what I'm talking about, where you have a leader and a bunch of people following and it does not resonate. Something like that does not resonate for me. Yeah, and it was my one and only experience with something like that. And I'm not saying anything negative about Tony Robbins here, by the way. I'm putting a little caveat there. I'm just saying the entire situation didn't resonate for me at all.
Well, I mean, just because Tony Robbins has had a lot of great contributions that he's made, because he has made tremendous contributions to human understanding. It doesn't mean he does everything perfectly. We're not perfect. Right. So he's got some ways that his presentation is screwed up. That's the way I'll label that one.
So long ago, it was one of those. I just had to share it because it's my one and only experience where something like this. It was very bizarre.
It sounds pretty bizarre to me. I mean, quite honestly, if
any of our listeners have any experiences with guru / going to something like this where they had certain expectations and were kind of met with this type of a situation.
Yeah, send in your emails, send in your messages with the LOA Today app. Let's hear the stories. That'd be really interesting.
Let's talk about Anthony Robbins versus a guru. In my mind, what a real guru is.
Yeah.
So Anthony Robbins is a self-development teacher.
Yes.
Okay. And I don't think he calls himself a guru. If people want to follow him to the ends of the earth, that's their problem. And
right. More of a motivational speaker.
Any guru cannot stop that.
No.
If a student wants to follow him, there's nothing much they can do about it.
No, absolutely not.
They can try their damnedest to kick the crutches out from underneath them, but if somebody really wants to follow, there's nothing much you can do. If somebody wants to call you a guru and you're not calling yourself a guru, there's just not much you can do about it. So,
well, there is one thing you can do. You can just stop thinking about yourself as somebody to be followed and just take them out of your mind.
Right.
And that's fine. Then it's out of your experience, but it may not be out of the follower's experience. They can still.
Yeah, but at least it's not going to.
I mean,
with your life
a true master wouldn't be bothered by that at all.
Yeah,
it would have been out of his before it even began. Would have
right, exactly. Yeah.
So the other thing is the thing that I learned about martial arts. Teachers in India, China mostly, is their philosophy is they're never happy until the student has superseded them.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Now, what a true master does is he makes you, as Christ said, what I'm doing is nothing. You can do more than I even do. And that kind of attitude must be belied by a true master. Otherwise, I wouldn't follow or do anything with them. So once you're working with somebody on that level, it is a completely different scenario. And it's very difficult for anybody who hasn't experienced that to understand the necessity of allowing them to teach you. That's the simpler way of putting it. I could use more esoteric words for that.
I'm sure. And some not so esoteric words, I might add. But but the one thing that occurs to my mind is, and now Louis is going to give me a hard time about this because he always does, and that's fine. I don't really think in terms of gurus, but if I take the same thing that you just said and apply it to just humans, regardless of guru type relationships, just humans, just human type relationships, isn't that what the best relationships are? What we're really talking about are relationships with other people where I learn something from them, and then they learn something from me, and then I learn something from them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, hit the nail on the head. And if that's one way you can understand what I'm trying to say, then that's great.
Yeah.
Because breaking it down to that level of simplicity is exactly what it is. It is all just vibration. It's not complicated.
Yeah.
It's if I listen to Abraham Hicks, like I've done for thousands of hours, almost literally.
Me too.
I believe you.
Me too.
I have opened myself up to their teaching. It's as simple as that. I could look at it any different way and just say, I'm just whatever, but it is. I've opened myself to understanding it to a greater and fuller depth. And that means I have opened myself up to their teaching. It's the way it is. And yes, I'm not looking, I haven't looked at an Abraham video for a long time now, and I'm looking at other people and other things, and I'm getting a balance of different things as well. But mostly I'm going inside now, which is
me too.
What they all recommend.
Yes.
And finding my own strength and power. And it's just really beautiful to understand that there are some of these teachers that are really good for different people at different times. And
Agreed.
I've had different mentors at different ages and different stages of my life. And all of them, I've got so much respect and thankfulness and gratefulness for the time and effort that they've spent with me. It's been amazing.
Well, that's what I love, that because there's such each person has a different way of expressing these common archetypes, themes, foundational aspects of the way the universe works, the mystery, and each person has a very unique expression of that, such as the way you express it, Louis, or Walt expresses it, or I express it, the teachers that we're discussing here express it, and then someone is listening right now to what we're saying, and then they're going to express that to their friends in their own, the way they processed it, and then they speak it. And that is what I call the momentum, or like you were saying, you're noticing there's more and more people. I hate using the word waking up, because I think we're all here, we're awake, but that is what's happening, is it's spreading in a really wonderful way, because it's a dialogue, it's a global dialogue that's definitely going on right now, I think on a much bigger scale than ever before, probably because of technology. Definitely, and our availability to discuss it, you know. We're in different parts of the world here. I mean, I know, Walt, you're in Connecticut, and Louis, you're in, is it London? London, okay. And here I am in Atlanta, and it's like we're sitting in the same living room having a conversation together. It's amazing.
Welcome to my virtual living room.
I love
it. Are you in Atlanta City?
Yeah, I'm in Atlanta, Georgia.
But Atlanta City.
Well, Atlanta, the city.
Because I've been to Atlanta City. That's all I know. I mean, I've been there. That's all.
Okay, so it's the Atlanta in Georgia. So it's the main city in Georgia.
Okay. Yeah, you've been to Atlantic City, and you've been to Atlantic City in New Jersey.
Yeah, no, that's different.
I've been to the one below New York.
Okay,
the one
yeah,
in New Jersey.
Right, that's Jersey.
Okay. All right. No, I just wanted to understand. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in Atlanta. There's a lot of people here.
Yeah, head south about 1,500 miles and you'll get there, you know.
Okay.
But yes, that is a fabulous thing, that we're all connected. We're all able to communicate in a way that 20 years ago was almost unimaginable. And it is making a huge difference. I want to bring up one thing though. And this is not critical. I'm just saying it's something I've been wanting to say, because you made the remark about people waking up or being awake or so forth, and that kind of ties into the word. The new word these days is woke. Like, you know, some people are woke, and I think to myself, you know, guys, haven't we really taken that awaking thing like too far?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, you know, all it really is being aware of new ideas.
Right.
Relax on all.
I'm not sure the woke guys have woken up yet.
Yeah, even that word, it just doesn't work for me.
All we're doing is opening ourselves to new concepts, new ideas. That's all that is. It's not. Why do we have to make a big deal and say, "Oh, well, I'm woke now"? Okay,
well,
have fun.
There you have it. That's why I don't like it. It's actually, no offense to anybody that uses it, but it sounds very egotistical. And here's the thing. Is anytime I hear, and this I have seen this in some spiritual communities where basically we're woke and we have so much more knowledge, and the sheeple, and they'll call them, you know, the sheeple. And it's like, that is not an enlightened way of looking at what is happening on our planet right now. And trying to make others less than is not an enlightened perspective whatsoever. It's the exact opposite of that.
It's endarkened.
It's endarkened.
So the word woke, does it mean in fashion?
Partly, yeah. I mean, it's one of those new words that kind of starts at one point and kind of grows and grows and grows until it encompasses everything, you know.
To me, it just means it's more in fashion. It's more trendy. I mean, to me,
yes, it's a very trendy word. And what I'm noticing is whenever I'm seeing it in the context it's being used, it is in this very egotistical context. So yeah, I'm not all about that woke life.
Used more in politics than anywhere else, is it?
Yeah. Oh,
it's pretty common there. Yeah.
And we try and stay far, far away from that topic. Because God knows we have to hear it everywhere else.
Well, we touch on it indirectly without taking a particular position. We just identify what the focus on politics does. We will often do here on the show. It's just we don't get into, well, I believe in this. Well, you believe in that. Oh, well, you're wrong about that. We never do that. That's just kind of.
I am seeing in 2021 us really, I feel like this is going to be one of those years where there's going to be this huge relief, because we're just coming out of this massive, the pandemic and the chaos and everything. Now, we've all been in our own reality bubbles. I've maintained mine quite well, Louis. I know you have. You're over there on the beach, driving your red Lamborghini.
Waltz in the stars.
Yeah, my head's in the clouds as usual,
Yeah, so we're in our own reality bubble, but I am very aware of what's going on in the world. But I really feel like coming up on this summer, I'm sensing there's going to be this massive positive shift. I'm not saying positive things aren't already happening, but I think we're at one of those kind of turning points, and I'm
You're
feeling
making
that
a
energy
prediction,
coming.
Amy.
Huh?
You're making a prediction.
I am.
I think it's a safe one because you just put your finger on it. I think it's already happening. I'm feeling it.
I
I'm
can feel
experiencing
it already.
Yeah.
And I know, like, by the time we reach the spring and the summer months, I think it's going to be it's going to overpower all of us, because I think this has been a time of a lot of fear for many, many people, and understandably so. And I'm feeling the relief already. So I just want to send that out to everybody. I think it's here, and it's going to continue to unfold in ways that I think are going to really be quite a relief for a lot of people.
It's almost like the entire population has taken a breath.
Yeah.
Right? You know, like, oh, okay, I'm glad that's over.
And I also think the planet, to speak in terms of, what's going on the planet, we needed something to shake us up. And I really am hoping out of this that a care for the planet that we live on, it starts being made much more of a priority from everyone, for our planet's sake and for the human race in
I think
general.
it's also true. It's also true that when we focus on building ourselves and each other up, you get correlating circumstances that go along with it, such as more awareness about the planet. So that's really what I think is going on. People are becoming more and more aware of themselves, respecting themselves more, perhaps, some at least. And when that happens, you're going to have good results. It's going to come up in a wild range of ways, but you're going to have good results.
And not taking things for granted. I think that's this whole year, before going to a friend's barbecue, just going to the grocery store and groceries being there, when something like what has happened in 2020 now into 2021, all those things, you don't even realize you're taking them for granted. And now it's almost like it's a breath of fresh air to just look at life and to see, wow, things just kind of, now I don't want to say going back to normal, because they're going to be even better, having a new sense of appreciation for the things that we were taking for granted before.
New normal.
Yeah, new normal, a much better one.
You guys probably aren't aware, but it's been snowing in London, and we went out to the field today to slide down the local parks, banks with the kids, and it was a lot of fun. But the thing that really struck me was how, I go to Austria every year, to the Austrian Alps, and this is the first year we haven't been able to go, but the air and even the sky the other day, which was a perfectly sunny day, and the sky was so deeply rich blue, and there's no planes flying in or out of the UK at the moment, so there's no vapor trails, there's no nothing. The sky was just this blue from one horizon to the other, and the air was so fresh. It was like the same as the Austrian Alps, and I was like, wow, this is London. This is London. And
cool,
you really get that appreciation that the air is getting cleaner, because there's we're in lockdown, and the planes are in lockdown, and the air just gets so much cleaner and so much and very quickly.
And
the speed with which the earth can regenerate, if humanity as a whole puts a combined focus into it.
I love that.
Our bodies regenerate. I love that. That's exactly what I was thinking, is how quickly our bodies regenerate, and so does the planet when it's just given that time to heal.
It's funny too. We were also doing snow activities today because we had a snowstorm last night, and so we went out to do some snowshoeing today, and we had pretty much the whole trail to ourselves. Everybody else was tucked inside their houses, so we were breaking a new trail. It was fun. It was really, really good to be out, and it was the same thing, that nice clear blue sky. Now we don't have the plane lockdown like you have in the UK right now, but then we might as well have, because there weren't any contrails. I mean, it was all just pure blue sky. So, but it was beautiful, and I loved it. Yeah, really, really good. Well, these have been some pretty good conversations and explorations of the basics of Abraham. And we took the basics of Abraham, we just kind of, elevated them to a new level, which is good. But I wanted to get back just briefly to what Jet Set had brought up. And I think we pretty much outlined what the method is, but the question they raised originally was, or he or she, I'm not sure which, had raised, was about teeth grinding when sleeping. And Louis, you gave the idea of using the basic thumb hold as a way of clearing worry. And then we went into this whole idea about how when you focus more on what you want and less on what you don't want, you end up getting better results. I just wanted to tie that last bit together because I don't think we really did it effectively. And that is, if you focus more attention on what you like, you'll end up reducing or even eliminating the amount of time you spend grinding your teeth, whether awake or asleep. Just because you're in a better place, you know?
Absolutely.
So if you want to be able to control that without, having to use a particular modality, just focus more attention on what feels good.
And also, if you just rub the jaw over here, right at the back, rub that muscle and just ease the tension out of it as well. And wiggle your jaw as well. That's something I do quite often. I'm often opening my mouth very wide as a yoga technique where you sit in a certain position and you open your mouth. And it's really, really quite good for you just to open your jaw fully as a couple of times a day. And sometimes I use force. I just use my hands and push my jaw even further wider open. But I always like going to extremes when it's come to my body. I've done everything a little bit faster and quicker.
Sorry, my cat Snickers is killing me right now. He just wants to be in this video so bad.
I see him. Yeah, he's right there.
He is my favorite little cat I've ever had.
My cat's in my lap right now, so we're in a cat day. That's fine.
Oh, yeah.
I love what you said, Louis. And I realized until you said it, I didn't make the direct physical and mental connection. But my way of doing exactly what you talk about is to yawn. And I'll do that 3 or 4 times a day. I don't think I've ever consciously made the connection of, oh, well, gee, I'm clearing out any stress in my jaw. But guess what? I'm clearing out stress in my jaw every time I do that. Yeah.
And you can clear out your thought stresses by doing it with your body. When you're clearing out the gunk in your body, the toxins in your body, when you're de-stressing your body, because toxins cause the muscles to tense, and the tenseness puts the bones out, etc. When you understand that you can work on it on any level, so you can work on it with water, you can work on it with breathing, you can work on it with mental exercises, you can work on it with food, you can work on it with on so many levels, and each one of those will help all the different areas as well of your your thinking and all the rest of it. So combine them, use them together. Use a meditation, also use the yoga, also use the water with that is positively charged, etc., and good food. The quality of your food, your body is just accumulation of food, isn't it? And food is just an accumulation of soil, isn't it?
I suppose so. Yeah.
So what you must understand is, from ashes to ashes and dust to dust, quite accurate, but you kind of get the impression, and you kind of get that clear understanding that your whole body is just an accumulation of soil. And from a humanity's point of view, we need to look after our soil more than anything. And I'll leave you to think about that for a week, because that is something maybe we can touch on next week, is the importance of soil on this planet.
Okay. Yeah. Why not? I mean, there's a lot of advantages to the topic anyway. What's one of the favorite things that people like to do? They like to ground themselves. That involves soil, like you point out, food comes from the soil. And I'm told that, I've never been much into astrology. I'm told that my sign is an earth sign, so why not? More soil. It all works for me.
We can go into farming.
Well, okay. We're going to venture into a realm that I know little or nothing about. Louise loves to talk about farming all the time. Literally, I'm not kidding. We're driving down the highway, and we'll be driving past, a farm area, and she'll be telling me about what's growing there. And oh my goodness, he's got this thing going over there, but he's over there working with his tractor. It's like, okay, yeah, really, great. You learn things.
Yeah, we in my mind, we need to have a very deep respect for our soil and how we look after it, because we are the produce of that.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good. So we've got a topic for next week. I appreciate that. A couple things. First of all, thank you to Jetsetter for sending your question. Also, we want other people to do the same thing. So take advantage of the LOA Today app to use the Ask a Question section in the goodies section of the app. That's why we put it in the goodies section. Did I say goodies? In the goodies section, you also find other stuff that's really good too, but you have that section. And, share, like Louis was saying, it's always great if you're addressing a question in terms of what the profession or what modality can you use when you're trying to deal with, say, it's, a health issue or relationship issue or whatever it might be, because it makes it much easier to address that way. But whatever you do, just use it. Use the app to send in the question, the comment. You heard something about what Amy said that resonated with you. I mean, anything, just send it in, and you can actually identify which of us you want the message to go to specifically, and I'll make sure that person gets it the next time they're on the show so they can answer you directly. Of course, we may also have other people answer you too, because we like having any kind of emails or messages from our listeners. But yeah, I'll make sure that Louis or Amy or whoever you address it to gets the message. So, that's why I built the app. Take advantage of it, guys.
That's
it's
right.
There for you. Plus, it's fun. I mean, whenever we get messages from listeners, doesn't it actually pick up the show? Doesn't it pick up the energy?
Oh,
of
yeah,
the show
I love it when we get any sort of a question. And so does Snickers.
Okay. We have his...
just like our cat.
We have the Snickers seal of approval. Mm-hmm. Really, really good. Something else I wanted to bring up, and I don't remember what it was. It just knocked it right out of my head. I'm hoping if I just open my mouth, sometimes I do that. I just open my mouth and it starts to come out again, but it's not coming out this time. So
go get a Snicker bar.
Get a Snicker bar.
He is being so persistent today.
Meanwhile, my cat is just asleep in my lap. He's like,
Not
just
this
goes
one
right
over
out.
here. He just wants to be on camera. Don't you, baby?
He's enjoying it too. Why are you paying attention to all these people? You should be paying attention to me. That's what he's telling me.
I know, right?
Yeah. They're wonderful that way. And they're a good way to, by the way, that's a great way to get into that positive thought place that we're talking about.
I love my cats so much, like all three of them. They are such a mood shifter. They really are.
Well, it works.
It's the best part of animals, I think, is just that pure innocent love that emanates from them.
Because anybody who's ever been in that place of trying to figure out, okay, I'm not feeling really, really good right now. In fact, I'm feeling pretty miserable, and I can't even find where that good feeling place is. If you got a pet around, it's a great way to get there. Really, pretty quickly too. Just play with them for a few minutes, and it just lightens the mood.
Yeah,
I feel so much better doing that. Among so many other thousands of other methods, but that's one of my favorites anyway. So, okay. Well, thank you guys very much. Amy, it's been great to have you back again. I know it was only a week or two, but there've been like a few times when you couldn't make it in the last couple of months. So
we miss. I always love it when I can make it on.
Yeah, so that was good. Thank you very much for joining us again. And Louis, as always, your insights are phenomenal. So thank you for what you have to share. And
thank you.
Well, he's so modest about it. He just says, thank you. He acts like it's nothing. It's not nothing. It's actually pretty good stuff that he shares. So
absolutely.
Thank you guys very much for that. Tomorrow's going to be Dean, the military medium. So if you have any questions for a medium or for a psychic, be sure to send those in by 4 p.m. Eastern time, New York time tomorrow. Otherwise, I won't be able to get onto the show, but take advantage of that. And guys, what else can I say? It's been great. So thank you very much for, sharing your stuff.
Thanks for having me, Walt and Louis. Is always a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
And thank you, Snickers, because without Snickers, we couldn't have done this show.
He managed to cover me in his cat hair.
Isn't that what they're good for, though?
Oh, yeah, they're great at that.
Carolyn Mace's first company she worked for was a Snickers.
Oh.
Okay, there you go. So with that brilliant thought in mind, thank you guys very much. Thank you everyone who has tuned into the live stream and staying very quiet. Live streams are really quiet lately, but thank you very much. Thank you especially to our podcast listeners as well. And we'll see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.
Take care, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.